mean, it's unfortunate that I'm gonna have to die for any of these to be worth anything, but, you know, it's the thought that counts. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Tiana, or Tiana, that's with a J. And today I want to be talking to you guys about my 2024 writing goals. In my last video, I talked all about my projects. If you want to watch that video, you can. It'll be somewhere. I don't know. I'll put the iCard there. You can go watch it. I'll also link it in the description. But maybe you should watch that, because then you'll kind of have a better idea of when I use some of the acronyms for my projects, and then you'll have an idea of what I'm talking about. And so obviously it's the new year, everybody's making writing goals and what they hope to achieve this year, and I'm no exception, of course. So as mentioned in my last video, I have many projects, and if it keeps going the way it's going, I'm sure this year will give me at least another 2. Let me know if you guys are the same way, but for me, I've come to realize that the more I engage with my writing, as in the more I'm actually writing and the more that I engage with the muse, the more ideas that I get for the projects that I'm also writing, but then I also get ideas for new projects. And I've noticed that when I stop focusing on writing, when I'm not thinking about it, when I'm not writing, when I'm just not engaging with it in any way, I don't get new ideas. And so let me know if you're the same way. But so that's what I'm saying. If things keep going the way they're going, I'm sure I'll get new ideas this year too. But my main project is this one. This is Project t.o.d, my mafia romance. I've already read through this 3 times for my first draft, made lots of notes. And I started writing the second draft, actually. So I'm literally going through it again, page by page, and writing it like all over again. This is my first time, obviously, editing a novel and then rewriting it. I've never done this before, so maybe that's not the most efficient way to do it. But there are lots of things that I need to cut out. There are a few scenes that I do need to add. There's one chapter in here that's a total gong show. I mean, I'm gonna have to completely rearrange it, and so I think it makes more sense to kind of try and rewrite it versus, going already into my document and then just erasing things that don't work and then adding things. Like, I think this will be simpler. Obviously, as I progress as a writer and I, do this more and more, I'm sure that I will come up with a more efficient process. But that's what it is right now. If you have any better ideas, please feel free to share them below. But yeah, so my first goal for this one is actually to finish writing draft 2 by the end of February. I don't know if I'm actually going to do that, because I'll be honest with you, I have not touched this all month, and it's the end of January. So it's entirely possible, but I might have to alter that goal to end of March, I want to say. But basically, it might be easier to think about this in quarters. So let's say in quarter 1, I want to have this second draft done, and then I want to give it to alpha readers. So I do have 3 people in mind that I would like to send this book off to when it's complete, to get their reading feedback. Obviously, when I can start the next draft with their feedback is dependent on how quickly they get it to me. I'm gonna ask them, hopefully, if they can finish it a little bit faster so they're not taking too much time, so that I can get started on the 3rd draft. But once I have their reader feedback, I want to finish the 3rd draft, let's say by the end of quarter 2, and then I want to, after that draft is done, I want to send it to my mentor. He's already read this once, actually, and he gave me a lot of really good feedback, but obviously I want to get this as polished as I possibly can myself before handing it off to an editor, and then obviously querying an agent or anything like that. And so once I get, that'll be I will start draft 4 after I get my mentor's feedback, and then hopefully by that point I will then actually be able to finish that draft, and then probably hire a professional editor by that point to have them start looking over it. Now, I would really like to have all of that done this year. Is it gonna happen? I don't know. I'm gonna try. So that's like, ideally, in my ideal universe, this is gonna all be ready, I don't know, like halfway through the year, and then, hopefully like late this year, I can actually get it to a professional editor who will have it done, and then maybe like December I could start querying. Because I guess I should talk about that, about whether I want to be self-published or traditional published. I've thought about both, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure which one I would prefer, because my thoughts about traditional publishing, obviously there's still this connotation that traditional publishing is the only legitimate way to publish, because indie publishing, anybody can publish a book. It doesn't matter whether it's good or not, whereas if you're traditionally published, obviously you had to go through a pretty rigorous process of editing. Everything is done professionally. You've got a whole team behind it, really making sure that this is a top tier product. And I totally understand that. Obviously, I would like to make this a top tier product, and that's entirely possible with indie publishing as well. The indie publishing industry has seriously progressed, and I'm part of a lot of Facebook groups where there's a lot of indie published authors in there, and some of them are making really good money. They have their own team, they have people who do marketing for them, they're running ads, they're getting professional cover designers, obviously professional editing, and so it is very possible to create a high quality product as an indie author. You just obviously have to pay for that first, all in advance. It's all kind of on you, and honestly that does appeal to me in a way. Like, I like the idea of having the control to do everything the way I want it to, so I get to choose the cover, I get to choose exactly what stays in the book, what doesn't stay in the book. The process is a lot faster. Even if I get an agent at the end of this year, by the time that they get it out to a traditional publisher, and by the time they accept it, and then we have to go through the whole process of their team doing cover designs and editing and whatever, it'll probably be like another 3-4 years until this book would make it on the shelf. And I've already been working on this book in one form or another since 2019. So I'm like, wow, 10 years after this book started, like maybe I'll have it published. Like, I understand the timeline, and it's been on me for how long I've taken to actually get this done, but that is the one benefit, let's say, to indie publishing, is that I can do things so much faster. To me, in a way, traditional publishing, like if I were to get a traditional publishing offer, I don't know if I would take it. Obviously, it would depend on the type of offer, but right now I'm almost thinking of it as it would just be some sort of validation to say that, wow, my work is good enough that a traditional publisher like Simon & Schuster, HarperCollins, like they're like, wow, we really love your work and we want to publish it. Like, to me, that's just kind of like an industry professional, top tier industry leader is saying that, yes, what you wrote is good enough. Like, that's kind of the way I think about it. So it's more like a validation thing for me. But obviously I'm not against the idea of being traditionally published. But I'm also open to the idea of being indie published because, like I said, I can just do whatever I want. I have full control. The marketing thing for me is also interesting. I was talking to someone who is a traditionally published author, and she wanted to market her book by taking a motorcycle tour across the United States. And I can't remember if it was her agent or her publisher, probably the publisher. They had said that they don't recommend her doing that because they think it would be a waste of time. And so she ended up doing it anyway, and she did sell books and everything, but she was doing this tour to hype up her book and was doing, like signings and readings and stuff as she went over the States. And I think that's really cool. But, her publisher was like, we think that's a dumb idea, sorry. So I have a lot of like ideas for marketing for this book specifically that I won't talk about right now, obviously, but that potentially some of those ideas, they're unconventional, and I haven't seen anybody market a book like that before ever. And so I would hate for my publisher or somebody to forbid me from marketing my book in a particular way because they just, I don't know, it doesn't fit the image or something. Whereas again, if I'm indie, I just do whatever I want. And if it fails, okay, it fails, that's all on me. Obviously, a traditional publishing house, they have to, they've got to think of cost-benefit analysis and resources invested and time lost. And I understand all of that, and I would have to do that as well. But the control thing is nice because I would get to do everything that I want. I did have a goal of getting project ILY finished this month, like the first draft. I probably only need 10,000 or so more words. That's not gonna happen because I also haven't touched it since November. Basically with project ILY, I think I could get the first draft done by the end of March at the latest. Like again, there's not that much. I don't really have any other plans for it right now beyond that. All my other projects, some of them, like Project Circus, I have the whole idea in my head. It's not, I haven't written down almost anything for it. And so I think it would be good to sit down, get a dedicated notebook for it, and actually write those ideas out before I forget them. I do tend to sometimes do that where I have ideas in my head and I'll just leave them there and then not put them anywhere, and then I would hate to then forget them. So I'm trying to keep like a dedicated notebook for each project, or like let's say each trilogy, for example, so that I can kind of keep track of everything. And I'm definitely analog. I do like to keep things in notebooks. Like this one is for this is for project t.o.d. mostly, but I've got ideas for books 2 and 3 in here, and yeah, it's all handwritten because I am old school that way. It's just nicer. I mean, I have other projects that are just in Google Docs, but I just prefer this. But fun fact, I have screwed myself over with the system. Like when I left for Peru and never came back, I obviously didn't have this notebook with me, and I was still working on t.o.d. at the time. And so what I did was I got this notebook, which was half journal, half like book ideas. So now I have Project t.o.d. book notes in here. In this other notebook I just showed you, I've got notes in my phone in the notes app that aren't in either. Like, I don't know. The organization system apparently could use some tweaking, but I'm not really into Notion or anything like that. And so I'm gonna keep doing this old school until it just screws me over really, really badly, I guess. Hopefully it doesn't. But I like the idea of having things in a physical form. It's just easier for me to like, make notes, with these 700 sticky notes that I have sticking on the front and in between. And I like the tangible aspect of it versus when everything's on a Word doc. One day, all of these notebooks, when I'm a famous author and I'm dead one day, these are all going to be worth a bajillion dollars, and they're either going to be in a museum or they're going to be in somebody's private collection. I mean, it's unfortunate that I'm going to have to die for any of these to be worth anything, but, you know, it's the thought that counts. Nobody is going to pay a bunch of money to keep my Google Docs on a USB. I mean, maybe, but Google already has them. Like, they're not even mine. They're owned by Google. So these, you know, are a lot nicer, and I obviously have way more of these. That is essentially for all for the novels, because like Project Druid and Project K&M and R&J, like, I want to write all of these, but they're just not, like, they shouldn't be the main focus right now, because I really need to get this out. And if I spread myself on trying to actually work on 10 projects simultaneously, I don't think anything's ever going to get done ever. So I do need to prioritize. But it's nice that, like, if I need like, sometimes I'll get so sick of this project because I've been working on it for so long that I want nothing to do with it, and so it's really nice to just be able to hop onto another project and kind of, you know, get some thoughts out onto there, and then I'm kind of coming back to this with like a fresh slate, and I don't feel as bothered by it anymore. And so yeah, I think 2024 is really mostly focused on Project t.o.d. and getting it to the point where essentially at the beginning of next year it's ready for an agent. I think is the goal, is what I want. Like, I don't want to keep dragging this on for years and years and years. Obviously there's been times where it's been on, working on it, off. Like, I started this in 2019, but I didn't actually start fully writing it until 2021. So, you know, it hasn't been a constant, like, 5 years almost that I've worked on this, but it's still been such a long time that I'm ready for it to be over, or at the very least, like, I'm really ready to start working on the second novel more fully. So those are my 2024 writing goals. Please share with me whatever writing goals you have, and, you know, let's keep each other accountable. Are you writing? Are you editing? Are you, like, what is going on in your writing world? I'm so curious to know. And yeah, let me know what other stuff you'd like to know about my writing. I'm not used to sharing so much about it, other than with Anna, because she's my best friend, and her and I talk about our writing projects all the time. Be sure to check out my podcast, The Right Opinion. You can find it here on YouTube. There's playlists. Interviewing writers and talking more about, like, you know, current events and stuff versus just me and, like, my writing stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.